Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening, Kavita. Good evening, Richa. You're
All
there.
right.
हेलो गुड इवनिंग।
Very good evening, Kalpesh ji. Very good evening. I'm making you
जस्ट मैं
host and
कर रहा हूँ दूसरे
co-host.
से भी ज्वाइन कर रहा हूँ गुड
Good evening,
Uh,
sir.
इवनिंग भैया थैंक यू।
yes, sir. You're a host now, and Kavita, you're a co-host, right? Welcome. कविता, जब अमित आते हैं तो बता दीजिएगा बेटा, उनको भी बना
जी
देंगे साथ
मैम।
में। सर, अब सर भी हैं, मैं भी हूँ, आप भी हो, देख लेंगे ना।
जी मैम।
Right. Good evening to all who are present in the house.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Kamla ji.
Good morning, ma'am.
Very good evening. Very good evening.
Hello, good evening, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Audible. Clearly audible.
Okay, thank you.
Kalpesh sir, I'm audible? Good evening, Sanji. Good evening, very good evening. Kalpesh sir, I'm audible to you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am. We can hear you.
Okay, okay, right. Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Very good
Yes,
evening.
sir.
And
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
yeah, Kalpesh. I think our guest will be on time, है ना? आने वाले होंगे वो तो?
Yeah. I have reminded. So I'm just
Okay,
waiting. I will make
आने
one
वाले
post.
होंगे. Right, right. Good evening, Ruby ji. Good evening, Dr. Gowda. Good evening, Dr. Sunita, Darshan Pawar ji, Chanchal ji. Good evening. Shri Nimas ji. Good evening. Thank you for being so active, audience. You people keep us active and keep us motivated. Thank you so much.
Good evening, participant. We'll be starting soon. We are waiting for guests to join. So she'll be joining in 5-7 minutes. Thank you very much for your patience.
Dr. Biram, good evening. Priyanka ji, Jasveer ji, good evening. Very good evening. Good evening, Professor Swaroopji. Good evening.
Good evening, participant. We'll be starting soon. We are waiting for our guests to join.
Good evening, everyone. Priyanshuji, Iti Adhikari, Alakshi, good evening. Ratnaji, very good evening. Very good evening, everyone. Very good evening. Snigdha ji, Sarvesh ji, Shankar Singh Yadav ji, Khushbu ji,
Okay,
Ami,
good evening,
Tansila.
Dr. Richa. Welcome.
Hello, sir. Namaskar. Thank you so much.
Namaskar, namaskar. Thank you for
Namaskar, ma'am.
joining.
Welcome.
Namaskar.
One second. Okay, shall we start, madam?
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, ma'am. So, good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for joining this fourth day of capacity building program. So, today we have our esteemed ma'am, Dr. Richa Sharma. So, she'll be talking on law and history. So, she's an assistant professor of history at Gujarat National Law University and the deputy director at ICSSR at New Delhi. She's having a rich experience teaching UG and PG students, and her area of interest are legal history, history of medicine, diseases, primary education, gender equality, women empowerment, and she has credit of publishing various books chapter, and various publications and various forums. She has been an editor of various publications. She has published journal article in national and international journals. She has been invited a keynote speaker in various international conferences. She has participated in leading conference and various workshops and seminars and moderated international conference. She has been recognized as a resource person and invited as a foreign visitor scholar at Osaka University, Japan. She has been associated as a visiting professor at University at Paris, France, and especially appointed associate professor at Osaka University at Japan. She was been awarded Best Faculty in 2016-17 at Gujarat National Law University and associated with the many organizations as a guest lecturer and the faculty position. And she is a pioneer in setting up the India's first legal history museum. I would say I have witnessed, I have been a part of GNLU at the Gujarat National Law University. It's the first of its kind, and it's a very unique initiative, I would say, by Dr. Richa and her team. So, with this, on behalf of Law Teachers India and Arjun Punjabi, welcome you, ma'am, and request you to proceed with the session. Over to you, madam.
Okay, thank you so much, Kalpesh sir, for having me here. I'm really sorry for being little late, but the only thing was that there was some meeting, and due to that reason, I was unable to join on time. Please accept my sincere apology for that. So, in today's class, I was very excited to see a capacity building program for law and social sciences, something which is so important. Why it is important? Because nowadays there is no subject which is in the isolation, and a lot of approach that has been government is insisting on, especially after the from the time when we have started implication of national education policies in 2022. We are giving more and more stress over multidisciplinary teaching, interdisciplinary teaching, transdisciplinary research, and this all begins with the classroom, because it is a teacher who plays the most important role in bringing change, bringing the nexus of the different discipline together and make the society more meaningful. Because as we know, law follows society, and if law does not understand how the society and social dynamics are changing in such a fast speed, especially when we see look upon the upcoming generations of Gen Z and Gen Alphas, and the way they are speaking, the way they are interacting, the way they are using the different visual platforms, it gives a lot of reasons to understand what is the correlation between law with the different social sciences. And that's why I really respect the type of work Kalpesh sir is doing, and I always want to support this cause for which he is ensuring the multidisciplinary research with the learning from each other, that a peer learning should not be stopped. I taught this subject for almost 14 years, in and out every day. I was thinking, I was writing, I was reading, learning and understanding law and its correlation with the history. And that's why what I am going to speak, I'm not going to speak from what I have written or what I have read from some other books, but I'm going to speak from my own experiences, because twice I was being awarded a best faculty non-law. So what was the reason why, what type of experiments I did? Because first of all, we are researchers, we do a lot of research, and then we do our performance based on our research in the classroom, make the complex theories or complex concepts or abstract easy to be understood by the a teenager, a new young generation, so that they can have a more of scope of thinking. They have more scope, creating more scope, so that they can have the curiosity. And that is what how we can empower them. So because in the if there is a something by which we can actually empower our students, is by we can empower them by making them to think, making them to ask questions, and making them to get involved with the different disciplines which are associated with the law. Because law cannot be taught in isolation. If somebody thinks that it is about the proceedings, it is about the judgment, it is about the corporate, yes, it is about that. But the moment you see it from the social science perspective, I think you are making law as an inclusive, law as an holistic, and law is for the development of the society. And this has to be, and this gives actually a purpose of why we do have a system of law. And to execute that system, we need a people who are the part of the society, and or at the execution level. So we need to understand the law is not a technical subject. It is a subject which is so related to humanity, so much related to social science, because entire application or the ground where the law works is a society. The moment we as a teacher go to the class, that there are a lot of issues of the society which are need to be unfold, not with the legal jargon but with the practical applications, I think our entire approach in dealing with the subject will be altogether different. So keeping all these things in a mind, I have prepared some very few slides, because I do not think that giving lot of descriptions to you will make you people understand the subject, because many of you are teaching history, many of you might not be teaching the history, but definitely we all are part and parcel of the integrating law with the social science subject. And history provide a base to each and every subject, whether it is comes to social science subjects, there is a discipline, whether it is a management, whether it is a economics, whether it is a sociology, these all are as a discipline or as a principle have been evolved in a due course of time. And there is an evolution of each and every discipline can be covered by the history, and also thematic evolution of different social science subjects, where number of WH questions can be answered by history. So ultimately, when you are teaching a law, understanding of your subject become more profound when you will correlate that with the history, and then it will become a tripartite affair. Not only law and history, but law, history and economics, law, history, political science, law, history, public administration, law, history, law of tort, or you can say even law, history, management. Any subject you take, law and history can be utilized, can be merged, and created a synthesis in the teaching of this discipline, and also provide a scope how multidisciplinary research and transdisciplinary research can be introduced in law and history. So I have kept two only things in the today's class, otherwise we many a times take teaching, research, extension and training as well. But in today's class my focus will be only on teaching, and what are the different vertical of the teaching. For example, I'm going to take how to evolve your pedagogy, how you have to ensure you are going to make a good evaluations, and how you are preparing your instructions, and how you are going to engage your students who are basically a law students, may not be interested to learn about the social sciences. Many a times they think that the another degree is a free degree to them, and this notion is to be cut off by a teacher, and that they can cut off by being a very good teacher whatever their subject teaching. And the quality of a good teacher is going to the classroom well prepared with a different type of WH questions which may be boarded in a classroom by students at any point of time, and he should be ready to answer to them, but in a yet very systematic and disciplined manner. And a good preparation is a base or a key to go to the classroom. That is a one. How to prepare good? There are the two ways, because in the present time, after being the part of the AI era, we see that there is a information is being flooded on the OpenAI systems, right? Through the OpenAI system, and we are having number of AI generatives applications available by which students can collect lot of information. Then what is the purpose and need of a teacher? Here we need to understand how we can make a difference in the era of AI and create the importance and significance of a teacher. The basic significance and importance of teacher is the power of analysis and the power of knowledge. Students may have information and maybe more information than us, but they might not be having the power of analysis, how to analyze it, and they do not have the experience the way we have, minimum 2 to 7 years of experience. At the same point of time, we also have lot of knowledge. So knowledge is all about processing the information which existed, which belong to the different with the different perspectives. So the power of analysis is something making a student different than the others. At the same time, knowledge is a power for a teacher, that he has a knowledge how to analyze different informations based on his experience. So every year of your teaching, every semester of your teaching is important, and how you are making every class, how mindfully you are creating, making your class, teaching in your class, and then creating your own feedback for your class. These are the certain very important exercises which I always say a teacher should perform. Identifying what are my merit points in the classroom, where I was really very sound, confident, clear, and my delivery and my at the same point of time, he should always guard on what and always try to create a very objective and balanced opinion in class, where his own opinion and suggestion may not be the part of it. Because this is so important, because ultimately the purpose of a teacher to ensure that the teaching is being done in the most objective, unprejudiced manner in a classroom, and giving a scope to a student to analyze and to create his own perception about the event, about the subject what we are teaching. So our teaching should be absolutely objective in nature, and there should be no subjectivity, and that can only happen when you are keeping a very consciously guarding your own teaching and become a very critical of your own teaching, that what were my plus point, what was my negative time, and keep on having it that the number of your negative points keep on decreasing day by day, and then only we can become the good teacher. The second important aspect is about the research. First of all, we need to understand that a teacher is actually not a teacher. Teacher is a first researcher and then becomes the teacher. So we are the research teachers. We do keep on doing the research. For example, if we have done our PhD or we are about to do the PhD, it's a basic qualification what is required. Second is that you cannot stand in a class of 80 students minimum, or a 160 or a 200 students without preparation. You have to do the action research, right? You have to prepare, you have to analyze, you have to go through different type of secondary data sources, and many a times you can even bring primary sources if it is a history, or you can also bring a empirical studies if you are teaching sociology, management, economics, or other subjects. A lot of experiments you can do and bring lot of good research into the classroom, structured in such a manner that it is easy to be remembered by the students. One more key I will give you, that when you are teaching in a classroom, always remember your teaching should not be very subjective in nature, or you are just giving the descriptions. Instead of that, use little data, use little stories, and use little of the questions after every interval, and try to make it little light. The moment you will make your class light, but definitely there should no compromise with respect to the discipline is concerned. You don't have to be lenient, but definitely you have to be approachable in a class, and teach your students should be in a position to accept you as a teacher, and that can only happen when you can command the respect from students. And how we can command respect from student? One, our lectures should be full of information, full of knowledge, full of analysis, giving the scope of a students to think. राइट अगर आपने बच्चों को सोचने का मौका नहीं दिया और क्लास में जाके यू मेड योर क्लास ओवरवेलमिंग, definitely they will not be in a position to appreciate your class. Identify that what are the major concepts, give them less of the examples, but do give them the example. Otherwise what will happen, and in a one class do not incorporate more than two phenomena or two theories because students are not like us that within a day we may cover hundreds of pages, or within a day we may cover multiple theories, studying so many theories, because students will not be in a position to grasp that much of knowledge. Okay. So this is something I wanted to give ready tips with before I forget them. Okay, so going next. So what is a correlation between these two very important disciplines? I call them intellectual disciplines because in both of these disciplines, basically, they both the disciplines are legendary, historic, and very, very important. So law without history is a blind, right? And history without law is mute. This is a very popular proverb. I'm not writing it over here who wrote it, but definitely you have to find out and bring it to the classroom, because this is something very important for students to understand the correlation between the two disciplines. Law and history as a powerful intellectual discipline, because these are the two major chunk of the entire knowledge system as a theory. If you see, a person becomes more sound and clear when he has a knowledge of law, and at the same time he is having the knowledge of history. Why knowledge of history is important? Because I am a historian, I would like to focus more on history. It actually enhances the canvas of thinking of a person. I repeat, it enhances the canvas of thinking of a person. अब देखिए सोच के दायरे कैसे बड़े होते हैं हिस्ट्री की वजह से. When you study history or you teach history, you are not dealing with the 5 years or 10 years of time period, but you are dealing with the eras, like 100 years, like a century, or you are teaching even a millennium. The moment you go into teaching of 300 years of time period, whether it is a British rule or you are talking about 1975 emergency period and the evolution during this time, and or the post independence history of India and its impact on law, a lot of things. When you look into the chronological record of history, you realize it enhances the canvas of thinking. What is a political system? How the political system works? What are the basic fundamental verticals of the political system? What are the social fabrics which plays a vital role in the policy making, in the decision making? What type of technology and nowadays innovations playing an important role with respect to development of the society, and this all gets recorded into history. So the interplay of the different disciplines, society with the technology, technology with the economics, economics with the society, everything get documented in a history, and it is very readily available in the form of the facts, in the form of evidences, and we are the person who can make a very good objective analysis based on the data that are available. And this all comprises lot of intellectual exercises, because it is not about 1 plus 1 2 होगा. यहाँ पे 1 plus 1 11 भी हो सकता है as an part of the outcome of any event. Just to give you an example of the revolt of 1857, it was just a one event, right? But the one event led to the passing of the Government of India Act, led to the transition of the administrative power from the colony, from the East India Company directly to the British rule, right? So the British government. Second was Queen's Proclamation of 1st November 1958. This proclamation has created a new era. I'll use the term era because from that time onwards, the relations between ruler and ruled and the terms and condition for that was being mentioned in the Queen's Proclamation. After 3 years of the time period, in 1861, Indian Council Act was passed, which led to the establishment of the Legislative Council of the Governor General. But you see one event is taking place which might not be very impactful. So 1 plus 1 2 नहीं होगा. यहाँ पे 1 will lead to 3 or many a times 2 may lead to 1 only. Okay, so a lot of equations can be made where law can act as a dependent variable or history can act as a dependent variable, and both of them inter alia exchange their role and responsibilities in understanding the subject. मेरे इतनी सी बात से आपको समझ गया होगा, a lot of intellectual brainstorming exercises get involved when you read the disciplines in depth. Okay, so this is a one part. The second is about the it trains critical, contextual and analytical thinking, right? What is critical? Critical is not negative, but definitely you try to understand what is the rationale behind it, what is the reason behind it, and you can always bring a course correction in the policy making. So ultimately, if you have to make a, for example, national education policy, a policy which is on the path of its implementations, we come across it has so many verticals, right? So we try to bring lot of course corrections into it, right? So how this course corrections is coming, we had a first national education policy, then we had a second national education policy, and then we are having the third national education policy, and collectively critically when we examine, we realize what all we have achieved and what all required to where we miss. It's a critical thing. Maybe we will be without processing that it will not make a the society. The second important aspect which is written over here is a contextual. In what context, right? Context vary from one region to one region, one time frame. The context things become extremely in what किस संदर्भ में बात क्या हुई extreme
Ma'am, this is Dr. Jasleen this side. Good evening. Ma'am, can you please repeat the last 1 minute talk because there was network error and the voice was getting missed.
Okay, so I was discussing about the trains critical and contextual. Am I correct? Have you heard it? Hello? Have you heard it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. So I was talking about first why critical is important and what critical actually is. So critical may not be taken as a something which is negative in approach, because many, if you look upon any of the developed country, you will realize that critical thinking is a way by which you bring lot of course corrections. So how you can bring this critical thinking when it comes to law and history? By making lot many good analysis, but while making the critical analysis, you remember that in what context we are speaking about becomes utterly important. Because if we talk about in the today's time period when the law is like evolving very fast, and we are talking about digitalization, and also coming up with the digital footprintings, also coming up with the AI integrations with the court management system, a lot of discussions that are taking place. But there is a certain context. In what context? Making this legal system more effective and efficient and also feasible. So the context is making the law effective, feasible and efficient. So when you talk about law in that context, definitely you can discuss how efficient the law was in the different time period and time zones, or also in the different geographical region. So context becomes extremely important, and how you analyze them. So there are the different way, and you can make a quantitative analysis, you can make a qualitative analysis, and you can bring both of them together and bring it to the classroom for the purpose of the test. And then after, with the students feedback, you can definitely provide more better as an information. So this is something can also becomes extremely important for us. Okay, So going to the next is about the relevance across governance, policy, justice, and society. So when we talk about the relevance of history as a subject, where and how this can be used, the persons who are having a profound knowledge of a law with a profound understanding of a history, they can be a very um, right person to deal with the government issues, because governance or the system of the governance is not a new phenomena. It has been evolved historically, which is where the exercise of power, uh, policies are being framed, and the policies are being implemented by the some or other way. So by reading and working with a subject like law and history, it becomes easy to frame better policies. Definitely the justice has become very important. What is justice actually? Justice is about every person should be given their due share. So if I, being the human being, there are my certain rights and there are my certain duties. So the justice will be served when I am performing my duty, at the same point of time when I am and what is my due shall be given as in my share by to me. What is the purpose? How the ideal society, an inclusive society, can be made? If we talk about in the present time period, we are talking about the holistic society, economic growth, economic prosperity that can be implemented as a part of the vision Viksit Bharat 2047. So we are talking about a society which is having no hunger, no poverty, having a climate resilience, and having a better gender justice, and so on and so forth, depending upon the different SDGs. So this SDGs are can be implemented more profoundly when you have a more better historical understanding of different things, and also having more understanding about the legal applications, legal implementations, and legal outcomes as in part and parcel under your study. So these all things collectively make your discipline extremely intellectual exercise, and this you cannot achieve in a 1 year or two. It requires lot of patience, pain, where you are involved with your subject, and consider this as a part of your life, not only professional life, but definitely you win, because teacher is something, if in a true sense, is a one who take his class with the responsibility. Responsibility is not that he should clear understand your subject and score good marks. This is a very limited understanding. A teacher is the one who enlighten the students with the right education that can make them more wise. And to make them wise, they should know what are the historical mistakes, what are the historical mistakes in the law, and then only we can make them not to repeat the mistakes in the present time period. So there is a something, you can say, the programming of a mind of a teacher is required, the purpose why he is teaching interdisciplinary law and history especially. Now the one very important part of your history teaching, social science, and law related teaching is, what are the recent trends, recent development, because when we are teaching to a law student, we need to understand they are going to work in the legal industry, right? So when what are the recent trend, recent issues that are taking place in the in entire legal gamut, right? And from there you have to pick up the issue, try to do fishbone analysis, that is a why analysis, why this is happening, why this is happening. So continuously when you are going to take up 5 whys, automatically you have done the historical inquiry related to it. And when you will keep on asking to the students, definitely they will be more engaged in the classroom. Second is about the historiography. Writing of history is called historiography, and that is something very important as a subject, right? So I was recently going through a book published in 2018 by Arun, some name inside Tiwari, that is on historiography of ancient India. The best part of this book was, many a times we are unable to, why we you should read the historiography, because if you really want to teach a good bring a good content in a classroom, and it should be more systematic and orderly, you should do historiographical studies. Because in history you will understand there is a time and phases where historians with a certain perceptions written the history, legal history books, right? So there was a time period of a James Mill when there was a different type of writings, when there was a time of John Shore, there was a different set of writings. When we have come up with the enlightenment or utilitarianism becomes pop at the John Shore's writings comes in the Elphiston's, and then after we see the nationalist writings comes up and they provide lot of understanding. One of the such a recent example what I see and I would like to quote over here is J. Sai Deepak's book on the Kulism and India, that is Bharat, and where he discusses about the thought process which is called as a coloniality, that India was decolonized, but the thought process and the legal mechanism and the framework in which the entire legal system is working is still very much colonial in nature. And I really see that there is a point, whether you appreciate it or not appreciate it, but bringing the latest publications related to that book in the classroom is a responsibility, and it is our duty to bring to the classroom. So when you are designing your curriculum, there has to be an understanding what are the recent trends and development taking place. So what I am giving you, it is over and above what you have to follow as a UGC and Bar Council of India guidelines. वो तो देखो फॉलो करनी है, उसके लिए तो आपको कोई वो है ही नहीं. But in Bar Council of India, they give us the scope to do little more of experiment to make our class more engaging, thoughtful, and can bring more of a outcomes for the students benefit. So we should utilize that opportunity by bringing recent trends, covering the historiography, then also covering the ancient and modern jurisprudence. Not only that, I would also request you, there is a something dearth of understanding with regards to ancient and modern jurisprudence. अब इसके लिए मैं आपको एक बहुत ही सिंपल सा एग्जाम्पल दूंगी. जो जजेस होते हैं, I'll give you the example of Gandhi ji. Gandhi ji did his law from abroad, and the disciplines he studied civil legal system, civil legal traditions. Then he studied the common law traditions, and he studied the Latin juris diversita. He studied the Justinian code, and this all had a no practical relevance with the law which is functioning in India. Britishers, when they established a colony, they created their own set of law to govern the country, which is basically being borrowed from the common law traditions. But definitely it has a very much of blend and a taste depending on the society. So lot of liberty that was given to the jurist and the judges to to deliver the justice. Okay, so that is why a line commonly used was the judges should decide their cases based on the justice, equity, and good conscience. Why justice, equity, and good conscience was everywhere, every time it is being spelled out? The reason is they also know the Britishers may not understand India just by reading its literature until unless you become the part and parcel of it. So culture जो होता है वो बहुत बड़ा impact डालता है. और आज भी यही हुआ है कि जो lawyers judges बन रहे हैं, they are not much aware about what actually the ancient legal system is. Now many people says that why ancient legal system is important, why not medieval legal system is important, and why not. See, the thing is that the difference between in medieval system it was to keep crime against individual. When it was a crime against individual, then it was the state never used to take a, if it is a crime against state will take an action, and they have their own laws of the state based on the Shariat law. And if it is a law against the god, definitely it is a Had or the Quran that has been exercised, where the punishments were prescribed and clear. But when it comes to crime against the individuals, it is a suo motu action is cannot be taken by the state. This is giving at the same point of time ancient legal system, which is basically provide the basis for the Indian society, have more quantum of literature to speak about it. Okay, आपके पास में समित संहिता है, आपके पास पे स्मृतिज है, श्रुतिज है, then after you are having the digest, you are having the commentaries, मिताक्षरा, दया भागा, दत्तक चरिता, दत्तक संहिता, Shukra Niti, what and what not. You go to the different region and every region has their own customary law. Every region has their own manuscripts by which their regions were being governed. And there is a Rajashasana also. So the lex loci law of India may not be a documented system of law like a Justinian code, but definitely it is much more profound, deep and clear. And many a times we need to understand the gamut of ancient legal system. वो 3 स्तंभ पे आधारित है, आचार, व्यवहार और प्रायश्चित. आचार क्या है? How a person should be think and practice. So what we practice, what we perform, become what we bring in our action, it becomes our vyavhar. So if you have a polluted thought, you need to go to repurify your thought, and that is considered wrong. So this is a gamut. You need to be morally correct. Then you have to be vyavhar mein ethically correct. And if you pollute yourself, then you have to, whether in the mind, in the mind or in a thought or in action, आचार या व्यवहार में यदि आप अपने आप को pollute करते हैं, then you have to go for the प्रायश्चित. What is प्रायश्चित? मुझे ज्यादा explain करने की जरूरत नहीं है, इसके अंदर हम सबको पता है, how to purify and you have to restore your inner spirit. That is why the Indian ancient legal system does not discuss about only of law as a subject. जैसा कि आप बनु को देखेंगे, याज्ञवल्क्य स्मृति को देखेंगे या नारदा स्मृति को देखेंगे, we realize that they have discussed about many of the things, right? Just to give one more example over here, they do discuss about Stree Sangrahana, that is a crime against women. And when we had this the changes in our legal system took place in 2013, especially after the Nirbhaya case. Pardon me if I am forgetting the years, because I am not going to the classroom for a very long time. But what I do remember is only Verma committee report has mentioned Indian Dharma Shastra just 3 times. 1400 पेजेस का आप एक रिकॉर्ड बनाते हैं, लेकिन आप इंडिया को कोट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. इंडिया की फंडामेंटल प्रॉब्लम्स क्या है? सो देयर इज अ सोसाइटी और लॉ एक दूसरे से अलग हो गए. अब जो लॉ बना रहे हैं, दोज हु आर द पार्ट एंड पार्सल ऑफ द लॉ, दे आर नॉट गेटिंग कनेक्टेड विद द सोसाइटी, ओनली दे आर कनेक्टेड with whatever they have learned in a due small course of time period in your education, or what they are understanding with their family and a culture. But there is no profound learning as such what they have with respect to Indian ancient jurisprudence. Because when you study Manusmriti, it's very easy to say Manu is something who Manusmriti is discuss about the discrimination against a woman, discrimination based on the caste. Yes, it is there, we cannot deny it. But is the Justinian code is not having the flaws? Tell me is a Hammurabi code is not having the flaws? Every legal system had a flaw, and to eradicate that flaw and take up the good and bring it to the next stage, that is what can be called as a sustainable legal system. तो हम हमारे लीगल सिस्टम से इतने दूर हो गए कि हमने लैटिन टर्म्स याद कर करके उनको रिप्रेजेंट करना शुरू कर दिया, बिकॉज they have documented their literature in such a profound manner that we don't understand what could be the foreign policy as per the part of the Manusmriti. We don't understand the purpose, but we don't understand why we are having transgression of compact as a principle. So what this transgression of compact, if we really want to study गिल्ड सिस्टम के अंदर किस तरह के रूल चलते थे, मर्केंटाइल एंड मैरीटाइम लॉज, हाउ मच दे वर फ्लेक्सिबल, and what are the coastal laws, entire gamut of information is available with the ancient literature. Because during the time of the Muslim rule also, the Indian coastal principles were being governed by the ancient legal system. You can see this particular my article which was got published in the Anyayamiki 2 years back, I guess. So, and also in my museum this entire information is available. So my point over here to make you here is India being such a big country, second largest in population, हमारे पास अपना jurisprudence है, लेकिन वो बच्चों तक नहीं पहुंच पा रहा है. जब तक वो बच्चों तक नहीं पहुंचेगा, वो कोर्ट्स में नहीं पहुंच पाएगा. जब तक वो कोर्ट्स में नहीं पहुंचेगा, we will not understand and resolve the many of the issues just by the Latin jargons, right? So somewhere down the line, we have to correlate our law with our social realities, and that can be done when our judges are quite profound with the Indian jurisprudence, with the customary or jurisprudence, and then it will make a difference. The colonial legal system is something which has to be your part and parcel, because entire present day legal system is based on it, and unfortunately we are more dependent on the reactive law instead of the proactive law. The proactive law is which ex ante law, that before occurrence of any event, we should minimize the possibilities and probabilities of occurring of that event, which is not happening in India. And the major reason for this is we do not have a system in a place, because we do follow colonial legal system. So how critically and systematically this discipline is to be taught? The major problem what I see when colonial legal system is being taught, भाई ये सारे लेजिस्लेटिव डेवलपमेंट हुए जी, ये सारे वुमेन्स रिलेटेड लॉ पास हुए और इनका ये रीजन था. What is a major contribution by you as an intellect over there? We need to understand that while teaching the colonial legal system, we have to be very thematic in our approach while dealing the different time frames and time zones. Constitutional building is very important, because एक चीज याद रखिए, constitution is the supreme law, and it is not happened only after coming of the Britishers. Constitution was existed, though the term constitution was not in existence. विजयनगर एम्पायर देखिए आप, महाभारत देखिए, क्या वहां पे राज शासन नहीं था? क्या वहां पे प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ एवरीवन्स वेलबींग वर नॉट प्रिविलेंट? Manusmriti, Yagnavalkya are not talking about. So the constitution building can be a modernizing phenomena. Constitution building as can be the previous phenomena. You see the copy of Indian constitution, तो नंद बिहारी बोस की जब राइटिंग देखेंगे, काम देखेंगे आप, आपको रियलाइज होगा हाउ इंडियन हिस्ट्री इज ब्यूटिफुली इन द पिक्टोग्राफिकल फॉर्म डिपिक्टेड इन द राइटिंग ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. तो ऐसा क्यों किया गया है? ठीक है, तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बिल्डिंग में एक हिस्टोरिकल बेस रखा गया है, एंड दिस इज व्हाट गिव्स यू a thought and understanding which we should not forget, because we are the teachers to the upcoming judges, we are the teachers to the upcoming lawyers, and we are the teachers of the upcoming legal fraternity and legal thinkers. Reforms and social movements of the different time and zones are utterly important to bring to the classroom, and that has to be the part of your curriculum designing. Law and society, historical relations and their evolutions becomes utmost important aspect which a teacher should cover in the classroom. Then comes the teaching. So there is always a scope of innovation. Innovation क्या होता है? अगर मुझे बहुत ही सिंपल वर्ड में आपको बोलना होगा तो मैं बोलूंगी bringing the solutions creatively. So giving the solutions to any of the problem creatively. And teaching is all about what has to be taught. Problem क्या है? सबसे पहले अगर आपको बच्चों का ध्यान क्लास में खींचना, if you really want your students to pay attention in the class, one thing what you need to do is making sure that your students are are introduced with the subject, with the present day problems related to that subject. The moment you will do the Socratic dialogues, that is the reasons why, questioning, creating a curiosity, definitely the entire environment of the class will be different. Then bring the case-based analysis. Every time period has some very popular or important cases that you must bring it to the classroom, because that is important. Then comes the archival readings and historical reenactments. This is a third part. So what happens that why I'm keeping it at the third part, archival reading and historical reenactments, because when you prepare your class, there is a structure in which the class should go. A flow of the class should be prepared. And inter alia, you have to add different cases, wherever they get fit in, so that the class become little lighter and they can remember it for a longer time. लेकिन कई बार ऐसा होता है क्लास के अंदर कुछ आपको ऐसे बच्चे मिलेंगे जो बहुत इंटेलिजेंट होते हैं, they are extremely bright and they are extremely critical. Even they are asking you hundreds of questions, never get like, your patience should be there and we should be like clear, okay, no problem. Bring the intellectual and more intellectual brainstorming in a classroom. Many a times people call it intellectual terrorism, but I'll not say intellectual terrorism, but we use the word as a higher intellectual interactions in the classroom. That can be possible when you bring lot of authentic material, archival data and a reading. जैसे कि चार्टर एक्ट ऑफ 1813 पढ़ा रहे हैं आप, चार्टर एक्ट 1813 पढ़ाते पढ़ाते आप ऐसी ऐसी चीजें बच्चों को बता सकते हैं which they have never ever thought of. You can bring the copy of the that particular article and then bring the changes. So my point over here is, whenever you have to use the trump card in the classroom, जहां पे आपको बताना हो बच्चों को that we are at this side and you are at that side and you should why you, because every archival data and the analysis on the archival data are not available on the AI. ठीक है, तो ये आपको क्लास के अंदर it will give you the upper edge. So two things has to be there, but the third thing should be always handily ready, that whenever you have to use, you can use it in the classroom. I will not go with the teachings too much because teaching is an art. The more you read, the more you structure your class, and you should know where to start and where to stop. So you cannot say that बहुत सारा पढ़ के गए और बहुत सारा you just keep on speaking in a class, जो मैं अभी कर रही हूँ. This is not a right way, but definitely I'm here with the purpose that I should provide you some structures by which you should go to the classroom. Because capacity building programs का एक structure होता है, so I have to follow that particular structure. Then comes the evaluation and how you can be very innovative in that. देखिए बच्चों को ना evaluations के time में they read more by their own their subjects. They do peer learning, they do peer studies, and they learn a lot your topic uh, going beyond your class. Okay, so reflective essays is a way by which you can engage your students. What you can do when you are going to the class, always prepare a brief topic, introduce them with the brief topics what you are going to teach in the classroom. The next day when you go to the classroom, till the time your attendance are going, you can always tell them that you can write a reflective essays, right? The moment they will do reflective essays in the small writings, or maybe this exercise you can do on a weekly basis or fortnightly basis or maybe the monthly basis on the certain topics where do you find students were really engaging, or the certain topics where you find students were actually not engaging, but you want students to read that topic. So you can always ask the students to go with the reflective essay writing, maybe for the 15 minutes or a half an hour before starting of your class, and allow students to use the technology, whether it is a computer or their mobile. If you think मोबाइल नहीं क्लास में यूज होना चाहिए, बच्चे पीछे बैठ के यूज कर रहे होते हैं, you know that they are carrying mobile. You can, हम अगर बोलें कि no, nobody is using mobile in my classroom, I think we are not still honest with our own self. We are teaching to the students in a 2025 and they are quite smart. Let them use the mobile, but for the purpose you will decide it. And you know that this ABC student is not going to pay attention. Ask little of question, ask them easy questions, never ask them tough questions. Tough questions पूछोगे वो आंसर नहीं दे पाएगा, क्लास को डिस्टर्ब करेगा. इजी क्वेश्चन पूछोगे वो आंसर दे पाएगा, बोलेगा यार मुझे इतना आ गया, चलो मैं और पूछता हूँ, चलो मैं और पढ़ता हूँ. So you need to handle students very tactfully. Legal historiography projects. This is very important, and this is how I created the entire legal history museum in Gujarat National Law University, engaging students. Ask them to write, go and click the oldest photograph of the district court of their cities. So this should be their project. Identify, is there any legal luminary belongs to their city, and write about them. Whether there is a historiography in the vernacular language or any of the form available. So this you can do the experiments. Students led seminar. So you can also organize a student led seminars, and where the students get an opportunity to teach, and they should work in a team, and this can really make the class really engaging enjoying, and we will also learn and get a little of a pause sometime. So student led where you can like evaluate them based on their performance. Regional study and research, this is very important. So you always encourage them, because in India a law is not a colonial law, or जो law courts में practice हो रहा है, this is not the only law. The many of the cases are getting solved outside the court as well. Mediation, arbitration, कि क्यों इतने हम इस पे स्ट्रेस दे रहे हैं, लोक अदालत में हम इतना क्यों स्ट्रेस दे रहे हैं? जो सेट ऑफ बंडल ऑफ लॉज हम अब हमारे पास में है वो तो है ही, लेकिन इन इंडिया just go and read the kite theory of Warner Mensky, who was teaching in the SOAS in UK. You will realize that a lot of regional study, legal pluralism is a way by which divergence and convergence in law has been created so far and making impact in a society. The next is about the integration of whether it or not, AI should be integrated in your teaching. And if you go with the data of May 2025, ChatGPT is more than 8.68% being used by the India. In India, it is being used, and India has become second largest country which is using ChatGPT. For an example, but it is only for the information and generative purposes they are using. The maximum of downloads and the project preparation is taking place from the Gemini, and the most authentic AI is Claude AI. We need to understand what all type of AIs are there which are getting integrated, and you can integrate with the teaching. Never prepare your structures of teaching through AI, right? Because they are being governed by the NLP models of we have to teach them with the perspective of global south. So you prepare the structures, then you get it refined, restructures, improvise by the use of the different AI tools. Do archival digitizations, because the moment you are doing teaching, you come across a lot of material through the AI or through the NLP languages. You can do archival digitizations of those literature, and this will help the AI. What is AI basically? AI is nothing but the ability of machine to think or perform a task like a humans. So it is ability of machine to learn. So why not to make AI which is governed in India to do archival digitization? So while using this archival data, putting up into the different AI sets, actually automatically AI will learn about that. So this archival digitization with the AI sources really going to be very beneficial, and we have to start doing it now. Reason is, after 5 years this AI era will be over, and we are going to come in the era and time period of AGI, artificial general intelligence. So what this the time period, whether we will be in a position to create AI which is unbiased, and AI which is having following the ethical principles, and AI that can become more human centric. So to do all these things, you should have a fundamental knowledge with respect to the AI. US at present is a country who has come up with the entire policy of AI integration with the education, with the domain of pedagogy, curriculum, research, and evaluation. So you can read that report a lot many times. Honorable Dharmendra Pradhan sir has also discussed about integration of AI in the education, and also how the metaverse work in the education era. So AI generated case timelines can also be one of the way by which you can integrate and contribute to your intellectual inputs, and also legal text analysis with the NLP tools for the global south. So these are the task 2, 3, 4 are related to more of the research oriented activities, where you can be much ahead than your students, and this is a scope where your AI can be integrated with yours. Now talking about the research, sorry, I'll not take your much time. Thematic research, you can correlate gender with the law, legal pluralism, customary laws. These are the themes which is need a more internal in-depth exploration, and you can do with the all substantial and procedural laws of India with the historical analysis. Applied and action research is a methodology what you can adopt for legal literacy campaigns and studying public legal awareness over a time. ये आपको मैं food for a thought दे रही हूँ, आप खुद इसके बारे में सोचिए, you are learned enough and you will get the answers. Okay, advanced research methodologies में क्या आ सकता है? Recently we are coming up with a more explorative research with the law and history, longitudinal studies. We are studying law in transitions, institutional histories, how over a period of time things are changing. This all can be studied by the longitudinal studies, time series analysis, futuristic analysis with the cohort, with the panel, and number of things what can be done over here. Interdisciplinary approach where you can have law plus sociology, law plus literature, law with the public policy, but this can be in a form of multidisciplinary and also transdisciplinary. मैं आपको यहाँ पे सिर्फ transdisciplinary बताऊंगी due to paucity of time. देखिए मल्टीडिसिप्लिनरी, इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी और ट्रांसडिसिप्लिनरी में अंतर क्या है, इतना जान लीजिए. When there is an exchange of methodologies between the two different disciplines, it becomes the transdisciplinary. Okay, बाकी मल्टी और इंटर आप खुद ही जानते हैं. मिक्स मेथड रिसर्च, जब आप when your one qualitative analysis methods complementing quantitative is complementing qualitative or vice versa, that becomes a mixed method research. mixed method research ये नहीं है कि आपने आधा qualitative कर दिया जी, आधा आपने quantitative कर दिया, where there was a scope for both of being done fully at the same time. No, you need to understand when the two qualitative and quantitative research complement each other, then only it is called mixed method research. Okay, so this is one. So relevance in the today's time, legal reasoning shaped by the historical awareness is must, supports a policy and justice reform, bridges the law with the culture, politics and public conscience, and that is to be created for the NLP as well. Prepares future ready citizens and the scholars, those who are going to become the judge. So if I have to conclude, law and history, a dynamic intellectual tradition, enhanced depth in the legal education and research, informs governance, strength democracy, fosters a critical, reflective legal culture. So with this, I end my lecture here. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please do ask.
Yes, thank you very much, ma'am, for your insightful talk on law and history. So, participant, you can raise your hand if your questions are there. Okay, there are some questions like how Dharma Shastra mentioned and used by Justice J.S. Verma.
Oh, wow, that's a very good question. So how it was being used by J.S. Verma? You read the J.S. Verma's writing, you will come to know. I can't say. See, there is a way by which you need to understand Dharma as a jurisprudence. J.S. Verma's writing, which I have come across once, he had studied more with respect to the P.V. Kane and with regards to how the concept of the dharmas are being defined with a different role and perceptions. So this was what I can recollect in the fractions of time. But I do remember that this is a public administration of one aspect. The second was about the dharma of the state. S.N. Verma ने use किया था. What is the dharma of the state and what is a public administration? This I can roughly recollect right now. Any other question?
Let me. Mahalingam.
Wants ma'am to just talk little more on slide 8 for 1 minute. If ma'am you
Yes.
can please.
Can I come in?
Yes, yes, please ask your question, Mahalingam, and then.
Yes. Ma'am, thank you for the insightful lecture on this topic. But ma'am, despite legal history is not taking off, it's not quite popular area of what do you call? It's not quite popular among the historians. So where we are lacking and what steps to be taken? We don't have standard books also on this. So we are facing little crisis. So can you just throw light on that?
Thank you, Mahalingam ji. Join All India Legal History Congress. Already we have All India Legal History Congress and Association, and there is every year we used to meet. This year it was in the NUGS Kolkata. Before that it was in the Indraprasth University Delhi. Before that it was in NLSIU Bhopal. Before that, it was in a TNNLU, and it was started from the Gujarat National Law University in 2020. See, we cannot bring a changes in a like 1 or 2 years. The problem with the legal history is an intellectual subject, and when we belong to a middle economic country, the economic growth and the professional educations always preferred by the students before going for the intellectual exercises. That's a difference. If you go to Oxford, there are the 6 different papers which are being taught on law and history. Go to the Stanford, there are different papers being taught. So why? Because there is the people are having money to spend for the intellectual growth. But here, India is a developing country intellectually, and in such a situation, when we realize that what is our situation, and when we put our efforts, definitely the change will come. I have seen it. What was the situation of legal history when we started in 2006? I do remember, and where gradually by 2020 2018 में हमने एक म्यूजियम बनाया, हमारा देखा देखी TNNLU ने बनाया, आज ग्लोबल जिंदल यूनिवर्सिटी ने अपना that is Global Jindal University has come up their own constitutional history museum. Step
Yes,
by
indeed.
step changes will occur, and this will take its time, but we have to collectively work upon. We have to dig deeper and reconnect it with the present time period, and then only the changes will happen. Yes.
Okay, another question by Noor. How can we balance, how can we balance the historical approach with the analytical and natural approaches of the evolution of law?
Sir, please repeat the question.
Uh, how can we balance between the historical approach with analytical and the natural approaches to the evolution of law?
It's very easy. The more you will be depending on the law is all about the natural instinct. What is the natural justice? You will come across it's automatically, you will come to know. History is a full with the facts, and it will give you more of information to support your argument on the natural justice. So you will not be having the dearth of examples, and that will make a difference. Okay, so it is going to cushion and support your entire understanding, legal jurisprudence, what you have studied, what you have understood so far, but with the definitely with the different Indian examples and Indian questions, Indian thoughts process, sorry.
There is a question from Dr. Sangeeta, ma'am. Indian text and evidence, and whenever we mention the stories based upon different culture, and most of the stories are knowledge lacks written authentication. It's verbal. How to work upon it?
अरे ये तो बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन आपने पूछा. Let me tell you who has written this. And the maximum writings, if you will see, these are written with the perception of the colonizers. So do not use them. Bring something. If you really want to see, your own perception, your own understanding, and your own reading will make the entire change in the classroom participation. Many people have not read Rama Joy's Indian history, Indian constitutional history. Please read that book, because it provides a lot of comparison. Many people criticize that book, but let me tell you, I do not see any demerit in reading that book, right? I have my knowledge got profoundly like enriched after reading that book. When I read this Minor Hints by Yagnik ji, that will also provide lot of lessons. Similarly, PV Kane's Dharma Shastra. So you have to incorporate lot of reading. So history ऐसा subject है जिसमें आपको बहुत readings लेनी पड़ेंगी, and automatically it will bring lot of analysis in the class.
So, Dr. Sangeeta, you have
May
raised
I
your hand,
ask?
and this is the last
Yes,
question. Yes, over to you.
ma'am. In continuation of this was my question. So, like you said very well, you have explained us everything. But the thing is, like you said, in the classroom teaching, when we use it, it is also considered as our opinion, right? So there are different set of opinion, and people from different state they sit with a different set of mind, and that also sometimes make a difficulty for a teacher to make them understand, because they consider that this is my belief which I'm putting upon them, because where is it written? And another thing which we face a challenge is basically when we talk about, let's say, do not cross the line because it is the red line. Maybe this is the custom culture, and this is also, it has a scientific reason behind it, because in villages people the
Sangeeta
cats
ji,
used to
we are
work
living
and
in
all.
2025. We are living in 2025 and lot of documentary evidences are available. When you go to the classroom, we should be ready that we are going to the battlefield, and the students are very, very learned, and they are very critical and very scientific. And whatever we see in the class, it should be tested well with the scientific parameters. There is no scope where the Indian Dharma Shastras may not be tested and may not be brought to the may not be like without the scientific inquiry, there should be brought to the classroom. देखो, जस्टिनियन कोड आप पढ़ोगे ना, आपको पता चलेगा. Have you read Hammurabi code? Have you read Justinian code? The moment you will read and then moment you will start comparing it with the Manusmriti, students will say Manusmriti is better. Yagnavalkya Smriti is far better. Narada Smriti is much better when it's come to forensic science and investigation. The problem with the teacher is they have not read them. How they can bring it to the classroom? At the same time, the second level of problem is that the readings what we are making is based on the based on the English translations. Okay, then you can choose. एक श्रीनिवास और श्रीधरन की किताब है, मैं कल्पेश जी को बता दूंगी. उसके अंदर ना 4 फेसेस में इतिहास लिखा गया है भारत का. कौन से फेस का आप इतिहास लेंगे? लेकिन द टाइम पीरियड ऑफ वॉरेन हेस्टिंग, द टाइम पीरियड ऑफ विलियम जोन्स, take the history of that time period, you will come across Warren Hastings when he used to write the letters to his wife when he was here and her wife was in UK, मतलब वहां पे ग्रेट ब्रिटेन में थी, वो उनको गीता के कोट लिख के भेजते थे. कितने लोगों को ये बात पता है? And we don't say the Gita is a scientific. Now number of experiments are taking place on the Vedic chants and mantras. We in our ICS are doing lot many projects, granted lot many projects. The thing is that that was intentionally Indian literature was being subsided, but the intention was they were the Britishers, they wanted to rule us. लेकिन हम क्यों नहीं करते? Somewhere we are not doing justice to our own work. That's why हमें एक्स्ट्रा पढ़ना पड़ेगा, एक्स्ट्रा पढ़ाना पड़ेगा, एक्स्ट्रा समझना पड़ेगा. क्या हम उसके लिए रेडी हैं? आपको एक मनुस्मृति पढ़ने के लिए, लेट मी टेल यू, हमको, आपको नहीं, मुझे भी, हम सबको, आप किस किस की राइटिंग लोगे? मैं नाम भूल रही हूँ अभी, मेरा बहुत सारे हैं, 5 है. स्वाइन जी हैं, उनकी राइटिंग ले सकते हो आप. फिर ये मनुस्मृति बहुत पॉपुलर है, किसकी है ये? इसकी पेंगुइन पब्लिकेशन की है. Then after we are having the Manusmriti written, the copy by the PV Kane. आप इन सबको पढ़िए तो सही. जस्टिस रामाजा, इसको सब जन बहुत क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं. कर लो, कोई बात नहीं है. इट्स वेरी फैशनेबल, इट्स वेरी इजी. लेट्स रीच टू दैट लेवल ना. लेट रीड दैट लिटरेचर. आपको एक बताती हूँ, एडवर्स पोजीशन मनुस्मृति में लिखा है. एडवर्स पोजीशन दैट वुमेन्स once the title to the woman being given over the adverse position may not be claimed. एडवर्स पोजीशन क्या होता है? 10 साल के बाद में अगर आपने अपने टाइटल पे क्लेम नहीं किया तो आपका एडवर्स पोजीशन कोई दूसरा ले लेगा. लेकिन वंस इफ द प्रॉपर्टी बिलोंग्स टू अ वुमन, देयर कैन नॉट बी एनी adverse position will be implemented. Is it not in favor of a woman? क्यों नहीं पढ़ाया गया? क्यों नहीं बताया गया? क्योंकि वो चाहते ही नहीं थे. क्योंकि उनको यही बताना था कि मनु राइट्स अगेंस्ट वुमेन, मनु राइट्स इन फेवर ऑफ वुमेन ऑल्सो. दैट्स व्हाई कंटेक्चुअल वे में पढ़ाया जाना चाहिए. और क्रिटिसाइज करो, लेकिन ब्रिंग इट टू द क्लासरूम. मिधा दीदी को क्लासरूम में नहीं लेके जाते हम लोग. तो और अर्थशास्त्र को लेके पढ़ना हमें पड़ेगा ना. हम नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो हम लोग नहीं पढ़ा पाएंगे. नेक्स्ट. आई होप यू गॉट माई पॉइंट. और ये आपके लिए नहीं है, हम सबके लिए. संगीता मैम, अगर मैं ये बोल रही हूँ कि हमें पढ़ना पड़ेगा, आपके लिए नहीं, दिस इज एप्लीकेबल टू एवरी वन ऑफ अस.
Ma'am, I got the point, but there are many things I can't discuss on the platform. But Delhi University rejected the proposal to introduce Manusamriti. You
आई
know
नो
that
इट
in
वेरी
20.
वेल.
Yes, yes. So
आई
certain
नो
things
इट
we
वेरी वेल.
cannot. Yes, yes. There are many things,
देखो एक
but I
बात बताऊं,
understood your point.
लेकिन नाउ लेट मी टेल यू, इट हैज बीन इंट्रोड्यूस्ड नाउ. Only Midhatiti has been removed, but the remaining portion with the comparative British jurisprudence has been introduced by now. इस साल से पढ़ाया जा रहा है. उसके लिए काफी एफर्ट्स दी गई थी. इट्स जस्ट लाइक जस्टिनियन कोड पढ़ सकते हो, हमूराबी पढ़ सकते हो, पर हिंदू लॉ नहीं पढ़ेंगे. क्यों नहीं पढ़ेंगे भैया? फिर आता है पैट्रिक ग्लेन हमारे बारे में लिख के जाते हैं, मित्रा शराफी लिख के जाती है, डीजीएम डायरेक्ट लिख के जाते हैं. वो हमें हिंदू लॉ पढ़ाएंगे तो हम पढ़ेंगे. लेकिन हम जब हिंदू लॉ पढ़ के हम क्लासरूम में नहीं लेके जा सकते. डू वी रियली नीड दैट मच ऑफ वैलिडेशन, और आर वी रियली लैकिंग दैट मच ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस ऑन आवरसेल्फ? आई रियली डाउट. हमें ना समझने की जरूरत है, these are our people, this is our society. We are facing a lot many legal problems, and that can be resolved when we have in-depth understanding with our historical knowledge. और ये सिर्फ हिस्ट्री के फैकल्टी नहीं कर सकते, सारे सोशल साइंस के फैकल्टी और स्पेशली लॉ के फैकल्टीज को करना पड़ेगा। सारे डॉक्टराइंस उनके उठा के पढ़ा रहे होते हो, सारा आपको लॉ का पढ़ाना है, उनका खुद का भारत का भी पढ़ लो यार, भारत का भी पढ़ाओ। सो दिस इज ऑल्सो इक्वली इम्पोर्टेंट। सो this is and I really believe that we really have to think what exactly we are doing. Are we really paying 3 to 4 hours extra in research, in writing? No, we don't do that. घर जाके 50 चीजें याद आती है, बट वी नेवर पे अटेंशन दैट नो, आई हैव टू स्टिक टू माय टीचिंग, आई हैव टू रियली मेक श्योर दैट आई हैव टू रीड। सो भाई नैरेटिव वॉरफेयर चल रहा है, हमें भी नैरेशंस में आगे जाना है, एंड दैट इट शुड बी साइंटिफिकली प्रूव्ड, करेक्ट नैरेशंस to be very well tested in a classrooms, and then only we can bring changes. History is a very powerful subject, and when you attach it with the law, it makes altogether difference.
Yes, thank you very much, ma'am. So participants, we won't be able to take more questions because it may exceed, I would say, more time. So over to you, Amit.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session. There are so many takeaways for all of us, what to teach, and most importantly, how to teach. And I hope that many of us will implement some of the learnings from the today's session uh, in the classrooms. So thank you so much for your valuable time, ma'am. And I also thank the participants for their interactive session. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. And
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
participants, we will meet again at the same time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you,
Thanks.
thank you, thank you.